Okay, so the Super Bowl is a pretty big deal, and if you do something memorable in the big game, you will without a doubt go down in history for being a hero or a clown. Except for those extremely rare cases when a play is just, well, forgotten. So we're just gonna go straight into examining the biggest forgotten plays from the Super Bowl, and because why not, let's start off by looking at one that is still relatively fresh in everyone's mind. Ah, classic. Alright, well, for those of you that don't know about Super Bowl 51, first of all, I pity you, but now it's time to be corrupted with the tragedy that happened that very day for everyone except Patriots fans. It'll be quick, I promise, but basically Super Bowl 51 was between the Atlanta Falcons and New England Patriots, and in the beginning, everything came up Atlanta, as they scored touchdown after touchdown after touchdown after pick six later, and now deep into the third quarter of the Super Bowl, the Falcons had accumulated an insurmountable lead of... I don't have the strength to say it anymore. Then from this exact point on, the Falcons did everything they possibly could to blow that entire lead completely, until, on a miraculous play where Matt Ryan proved why he deserved the MVP that season, he stepped up in the pocket and threw the ball to his all-pro receiver Julio Jones, who caught the ball with Patriots strapped all over him to mathematically give the Falcons a 99.9% chance to win the game. So that's it, right? I mean, everyone remembers the most legendary catch in Super Bowl history, as Julio Jones bends the laws of gravity to set up the Falcons to run out the clock and kick a game-sealing... oops, that's the wrong multiverse. Well, it turns out a few penalties and some of the most baffling play calls ever by professional football disaster artist Kyle Shanahan was actually enough to bury one of the best catches in football history. But don't you worry, because although a team can bury a play pretty well, nothing makes people forget a play more than time just passing by. Super Bowl 23. The year is 1989, and the 49ers, led by future MVP and pretty good quarterback Joe Montana, faced off against current MVP Boomer Esiason and the Cincinnati Bengals. This was a 49ers team that had already cemented themselves as a dynasty and were ready to try and stomp out the small flame that was the Cincinnati Bengals. So going into the actual Super Bowl, the 49ers came in as 7-point favorites, and people truly didn't believe in this Bengals team to take down the Niners. Well, the Bengals proved that they deserved to be there, as they took a commanding 13-6 lead after a kick return for a touchdown and rode that late into the fourth quarter. Now, to set the stage, the 49ers had just scored a touchdown, then drove again and missed a 50-yard field goal, so at this point they were threatening to make a comeback for the ages. But Boomer Esiason and the Bengals weren't having any of that and led the Bengals down the field enough for a 40-yard field goal attempt. Now, when you hear 40-yard field goal nowadays, you think it's basically a chip shot. Well, back then, the soccer kicking style you see today was still relatively new, as it took all the way until 1987 for every team in the NFL to have a European-style kicker, so the technique was far from refined. And nowadays, kicker efficiency is at an all-time high, usually, but in the 1989 season, kickers made roughly 50% of kicks from 40 yards and over. Now take all those factors into play and add on the fact that there was an insurmountable amount of pressure on kicker Jim Breach to make the kick, and what you get is something far from a chip shot. But who cares about all the statistics and analytics, because Jim Breach is a different breed, and as long as the Bengals can stop the 49ers from scoring exactly a touchdown, they will be crowned Super Bowl champions.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
God damn it, we were so close to having Jim Breach being crowned as the savior of Cincinnati, but maybe there are a few more NFL players who've also been robbed of being immortalized for a single play. Rams vs. Titans. When you think about that Super Bowl, one play comes to mind, right? I mean, 1 yard short is an absolute staple of NFL lore, but what truly goes under the radar is what happened literally one play earlier. But hold on, before we get a little too crazy, we need to look at how the Titans got so painfully close to football immortality without actually achieving it. Now, first of all, I'm sure if you were a fan of the Titans in 1999, then you probably lost about 15 years of your life, because after stumbling into the wild card at 13-3, that's right, 13-3, and only made the wild card, the Titans pulled off one of the greatest miracles in decades to beat the Bills, squeaked by the Colts 19-16, led by Peyton Manning, dislodged their personal fleshlight in the Jacksonville Jaguars, and finally, the bruised and battered Titans limped into the Super Bowl and begged for mercy, and what they got was, no joke, the best offense of all time. That's, just unfortunate. But somehow the Titans, who looked clearly inferior to the Rams, battled them with everything they had, led by former MVP, co-MVP quarterback Steve McNair. And after Kurt Warner connected with Isaac Bruce to give the Rams the lead, Steve McNair had a chance to become Tennessee's hero. And, I mean, he did a pretty damn good job of trying, because after a few short connections, Steve McNair gets flushed out of the pocket, avoids multiple Ram defenders, extends the play for as long as possible, then turns into Patrick Mahomes and throws a sidearm dart to a wide-open Kevin Dyson. Now, unfortunately, Titans fans, you might want to look away, but they came up exactly 1 yard short and lost that Super Bowl to the Rams, but in no short part to Steve McNair's heroics. However, at least Steve McNair had the chance himself to change the narrative, whereas the luxury of falling on your own sword is not one that all players on this unfortunate list were given. Now, this Super Bowl between the Cardinals and Steelers was one that I rewatched recently in my Watching a Game from Every Decade video I made a while back, and I got to say for the majority of the game, future Hall of Fame receiver Larry Fitzgerald was almost invisible for the entire first half. But the majority of the other Cardinals were able to pick up his slack, as Darnell Dockett and others did a solid enough job to steal opportunities on defense, and Kurt Warner did his thing on offense. Whereas on the other side of the field, the Steelers were trying to adjust to a new coach in Mike Tomlin, but still had a relatively similar core to their Super Bowl winning years under Bill Cowher. So with star talent all over the field, it's almost as if the game itself was just waiting for someone to break through and take the lead for their team, and thus enters Larry Fitzgerald. A massive momentum swing play that would have been the perfect play to end any Super Bowl. But this goddamn piece of had other plans. So Ben Roethlisberger led the Steelers down the field and completed the NFL equivalent to a hold my beer play, where he somehow threaded the needle to Santonio Holmes, who toe-tapped in the actual game-winning touchdown. What a shame. But don't worry, Larry, because damn near a decade later, you got another shot at being the hero, as in a playoff game against the Packers, Larry Fitzgerald caught another extremely long passing play and then was able to punch in the real game-winning touchdown. Ignore the fact that they got absolutely plastered by the Panthers in the next round, and you got yourself a redemption story, Larry. Now, yes, Larry's quote redemption story wasn't perfect, but at least it's something. Now, imagine if someone, a single person, tears your heart out not once but twice during the biggest moment of your life. Now, imagine that happens in the Super Bowl. Well, let me introduce you to Ricky Proehl. So, not to be mean or anything, but Ricky Proehl as a player was nothing special, as he never made a Pro Bowl or anything like that, but he had some omnipotent power to simply find himself on several different Super Bowl contending rosters. Proehl was on that 1999 Rams team that beat the Titans in the Super Bowl, and in the NFC Championship game that year, he caught his first touchdown of the season to basically seal the victory over the Bucs. So, by the time 2001 rolled around, Ricky was still on the Rams team that made the Super Bowl against... again? Anyway, in Super Bowl 36, in hindsight, this game would become Tom Brady's coming out party, but before his drive to end the game, Kurt Warner's last throw of the game didn't go to either of his future Hall of Fame receivers in Isaac Bruce or Torrey Holt. Nope, he threw the ball to the 11-year veteran Ricky Proehl. So Ricky Proehl goes to the sideline, feeling like he just made the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. Now, unfortunately for Ricky, Tom Brady hates happy people, and Adam Vinatieri pulls the trigger, killing Ricky Proehl's entire soul. But if you've paid any attention so far, you'd know it does not end here, because Ricky Proehl was about to be thrown right back into the octagon, as a mere 3 years later, Ricky Proehl would find himself on the Carolina Panthers, a team that made the Super Bowl for the first time in their franchise's history in 2003, and guess who was waiting for them? Yeah, that just doesn't seem fair. And the sad thing is, once again, as a senior citizen wide receiver, Ricky Proehl left it all on the line as he tied for the most receptions on the team with a prime Steve Smith, once again scoring what really should have been the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. Now, this time Ricky Proehl probably goes to the sideline thinking, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, well, please don't do it again. Tom shows absolutely zero mercy and leads Ricky Proehl straight to the guillotine for the second time, only for his executioner Adam Vinatieri to do his job yet again. But man, I hate that I keep having to talk about this game. I really do. Whatever. So, this final destination takes us to Super Bowl 49 between the Seattle Seahawks and once again the evil empire in the New England Patriots. Now, unlike the Falcons game, for the first half, it truly looked like the two best teams in the world were playing against one another, as the score was tied 14 apiece at the half. Then the Seahawks rallied back and took a 10-point lead over the Patriots, which didn't last for long, as Tom Brady and the Patriots responded with 2 touchdowns back to back. So at this point, things weren't looking great for Seattle, but hey, Russell Wilson's giving them a little bit of life after a few completions, and then it happens. Jermaine Kearse completes the luckiest catch you'll ever see, and off of a complete fluke, the Seahawks now find themselves in a position to punch in the ball, and anyways, if you enjoyed this video, then subscribe and turn on notifications, because I got a ton of videos just like this one. Also, if you like this video for some weird reason, then watch this video right here on the wildest NFL urban legends. It's a pretty good video, trust me. Anyways, until next time.